Have you ever dated someone who seemed interested in you, but somehow you still felt alone in the relationship? They text you, they flirt with you, you have chemistry, maybe they even tell you they really like you, right? But when you try to get closer emotionally, something changes. Suddenly, they are distant, you're confused, and you find yourself asking, do they actually want me, or am I imagining the connection? If you've ever experienced something like that, you may have been dealing with someone who is emotionally unavailable. And here's the part that makes emotional unavailability so confusing. An emotionally unavailable person isn't necessarily someone who doesn't have feelings for you. No, they can like you. They can like you really well, and they can be nice too. They can miss you. They can enjoy your company. They can even care about you really deeply. But they may not have the emotional capacity, the willingness, or the readiness to participate in the kind of relationship you're looking for. So let's talk about 5 signs that shows you're dating an emotionally unavailable person. Sign 1, they keep you close but never let you get too close. This person may give you just enough connection to keep you interested. They call you, they text you, they want to see you, they may even be affectionate. But when the relationship starts moving towards deeper emotional intimacy, they pull back. You start talking about feelings, commitment, the future, or what you want the relationship to actually look like or be, and suddenly they're uncomfortable. They change the subject. They say, why do we have to put a label on it? Or you hear something like, let's just enjoy what we have. These are their lines. Now, let's enjoy what we have. That's the kind of things you hear. And you may spend months trying to figure out where you stand in the relationship. But here is the problem. Closeness without emotional availability creates confusion. You're technically connected, but you're constantly wondering whether you're actually safe to attach. And a healthy relationship shouldn't require you to constantly guess where you stand. Sign 2, that's number 2. They are great at giving attention, but bad at giving emotional intimacy. This one is easy to miss because the attention can look like intimacy. Someone can test you all day and still not know how to have a vulnerable conversation with you. They can take you on dates and still avoid difficult conversations. They can tell you you're beautiful, you're attractive, you're amazing, you're special, but when you're hurt, they don't know how to sit with your emotions. You say, that really hurt me. And instead of becoming curious about your experience, they become defensive, or they disappear, or they tell you you're being too sensitive. That's not emotional intimacy. Emotional intimacy requires being able to say, I don't completely understand why you're feeling this way, but I want to understand you. That's a very different level of connection. Sign 3, their words and action don't consistently match. They tell you they want something serious, but their behavior does not reflect it. They say they miss you, but rarely make plans. They say you are important, but you're always an afterthought. They talk about the future, but avoid making any real decision about it. And every time you bring up the inconsistency, there's another explanation. They are busy, they are stressed, they are scared, they are not used to relationships, they are figuring themselves out. And sometimes these explanations are completely legitimate. Sometimes they're not lying. But here's something you need to remember. Understanding someone's reason doesn't mean you have to accept their behavior, especially when it's hurting you. No, you can have compassion for why someone struggles with intimacy and still recognize that they are not capable of giving you the relationship you need. Someone can be a good person and still be a bad fit for you. Yes. Number 4, you feel like you have to earn their love. This is where emotional unavailability can really mess with your self-worth, especially if it's not strong. Because instead of asking, is this person right for me, you start asking yourself, what do I need to do? to make them choose me. You become more understanding, you become more patient, you stop bringing up your needs, you try not to ask for too much, you become afraid of expressing your needs, or expressing your feelings, or because you're scared to push them away, and slowly you start shrinking yourself to maintain the connection. That's not love, that's emotional survival. And a healthy relationship should not require you to become less needy, less expressive, less emotional, or less yourself just to keep somebody interested. The right relationship will require compromise, but you shouldn't have to abandon yourself to maintain it. Last but not the least, you feel more anxious than secure. That's sign number 5. This may be the biggest sign of all, right? Pay attention to how you feel most of the time in the relationship, not just when they are being sweet, not just during the good moments. What happens between those moments? Are you constantly checking your phone, wondering why they haven't responded to your text messages or to whatever? Are you analyzing the tone they use in talking to you, trying to figure out whether they are pulling away, feeling relieved when they finally give you the attention you've been seeking, then anxious again when they become distant? That emotional cycle can become very addictive, yes, because you're constantly waiting for the next moment of connection, and sometimes we mistake that intensity for love. But intensity isn't always intimacy. Sometimes it's anxiety. I always tell people, and that's why I want you to ask yourself a different question. Instead of how much do I love this person, ask yourself this question: how do I consistently feel when I'm in a relationship with this person? Do I feel respected? Do I feel emotionally safe? Can I communicate my needs without feeling needy? Do I know where I stand? Can we repair after conflict? Do their action match their words? Because attraction can tell you who you're drawn to, but their behavior tells you whether the relationship is healthy for you. And let me say something important before we end. Dating an emotionally unavailable person doesn't automatically mean they are terrible. No, sometimes emotionally unavailable people are carrying their own wounds, traumas that they refuse to heal, or they don't even know, or they're not aware of. Maybe they were hurt in previous relationship. Maybe they grew up in homes where emotion weren't discussed. Maybe vulnerability was never molded for them. Maybe they are afraid of losing their independence. There can be many reasons why someone can be emotionally unavailable, but understanding someone's wound doesn't make you responsible for healing it. They have to recognize the problem, they have to want to change, and they have to be willing to do the work. So if you're dating someone who keeps you confused, don't only ask yourself, do they love me? Ask yourself, are they emotionally available enough to love me in the way I need to be loved? Because those are two different questions. And sometimes the hardest truth in dating is this: someone can care about you and still not be capable of giving you the relationship you deserve. Don't spend your entire relationship trying to prove that you're worthy of being chosen. You don't need to convince someone to become ready for you. You need to find out whether they are already ready to build with you. And if you're currently dating someone and you're wondering whether they are emotionally available, tell me in the comment section, which of these 5 signs have you experienced in your relationship? And if this video helped you put words to something you've been feeling, subscribe, because we're going to keep having honest conversation about dating, love, boundaries, emotional healings, and healthy relationship. Thank you for watching my video. See you on the next one. Bye.